Good morning. My name is Ben Robbins, and I'm glad to be your minister and glad for my new name tag. Thank you so much, Amy. So Universalists over the centuries have often described their core belief as that they believe in love. Love is where it's at. Love is what it's ultimately about. Over the centuries, there have been times of resisting monarchy, resisting authoritarians, resisting corporate rule, fascist rule, communist rule, and still amongst it all, this ongoing belief in love. John Woolman, who was actually a Quaker, put it like this: to turn all the treasures we possess into the channel of universal love becomes the business of our lives. Not that love is the most powerful force in the universe, but that love is the most worthy. Not the widest highway, but the path worth traversing. So today we'll talk about love. And please see the announcements in your order of service and note that open mic night is this Wednesday. We are launching a young adult group this coming Saturday, and we're having a youth board game event on January 31st. So see the event calendar on the website for details or talk to me. And thank you to our volunteers and staff who make our Sunday services possible. Marilyn Chenier is our service assistant. We have Riley Friesen on tech, Tristan Kellaway on keys, Kath Anthony helped with setup, and often Kath Riley or Faith puts on the coffee.
No, that's Kath.
It's Kath?
No, it's Riley today.
Riley today, thank you. And again, a welcome to our new babysitter, Sabine Morris, who grew up in the congregation. So please bring your babies and little ones. Let your friends know this is a great place to feel restored while your little ones are well looked after. And if you are new or we haven't met, I would love to say hello after the service. And now we have Scott Wood online with a land and climate acknowledgement.
Elasi, welcome. We are meeting today in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq people, who lived here for millennia before European settlers arrived. With their arrival, they brought a worldview, culture, and values greatly at odds with those of the indigenous people who welcomed them. Nevertheless, treaties were entered into, spelling out how they could coexist. Thus, we are all treaty people. However, these treaties were violated by the settlers as colonization and subjugation were pursued. This has caused great injustice to our indigenous peoples and their descendants. We are all treaty people and are called on to seek reconciliation and live in right relationship with our indigenous brothers and sisters. True reconciliation is more than an apology. It recognizes that we cannot simply undo the injustices of our past, as their consequences have become completely intertwined within every economic, social, and political structure that is modern Canada. The path to reconciliation involves at least three dimensions. One, developing a deeper understanding of and respect for the Indigenous worldview, culture, and values. And two, bringing our Indigenous peoples into our national dialogue and decision-making as equal partners at every level of governance. And three, finding ways to share the wealth of Canada such that they are justly compensated for their losses over several centuries. We are also called on to act in two other related ways. One, to live in right relationship with our Black community, other people of color, and other marginalized people who also have been wounded and disadvantaged by racism and discrimination. Two, to live in right relationship with Mother Earth. We should listen carefully to the wisdom of Canada's Indigenous peoples, whose relationship with the natural world offers important guidance to us as we seek to address the climate change. This is an existential challenge to us since we are dependent on bounty and the services of nature for our survival and well-being. May we find a path forward that leads us to live in harmony and respect for one another and for Mother Earth. Walalako, thank you.
The reading for the chalice lighting this morning is Love Remains the Center by Eric Hepburn. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. We will now sing our opening hymn, 1000 in the Teal Hymnal, although the words will be up on the screens. Morning has come. You can always tell when we don't know one very well.
We'll do it again soon.
Okay, that'll do it. We are going to go straight into joys and sorrows now. We bring our hearts into this sacred space of community, and we open up to each other, for each other, so that those of us who carry pain might be comforted by the presence of our loving community, so that those of us who are happy and well might share our joy and see it multiply in others, and so that those of us who carry complex truths might find a welcoming space to process and make meaning of all that life brings. So if you have a story, a sorrow, a joy, or a complex truth on your heart that needs to be spoken into community, we invite you to come up and put a rock in our well, or I can bring the microphone to you.
I have a joy. I'm Faith. The young refugee who's been living with us for the past year or so is now striking out on his own. He and his buddies have found an apartment, and he'll be moving out at the end of the month. But we'll still keep in close contact. Oh, and by the way, he needs a toaster oven if anybody has one kicking around that they don't need.
Sorry? Oh, you've got one.
I'll do a stone just for the feelings that some of us have about the inauguration tomorrow that's happening. So apparently 100 executive orders are going to happen on day one, so tomorrow might be a big day. So lots of feelings.
Yeah, and I'll put in a stone for the tentative ceasefire in Gaza and hope that it holds and grows.
And I will light one more candle for all the joys, sorrows, and complex truths that remain in the silent sanctuaries of, one more candle, one more rock, old script, that remain in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, the ones words cannot express and the ones that are still in formation. Moving right along into the offertory, community is made possible by the offering of our individual skills, commitments, and gifts. The truth is that we need each other and money to survive. And yet nobody's worth and dignity is in any way measured by the amount of money that they have or don't have to give. So during the offering, we invite you to offer what you can, if you can, to support this sanctuary of progressive spirituality. Many of you donate monthly, automatically, and others give of their time and talents. And if you wish to send anything by email, it's treasurer@uuch.ca. Today's offering is for the operation of this community. One of the lovely ways this community works is that even without being designated, people just jump up and do what needs to be done. And now we will sing our second hymn, which is number 352 in the Gray Book.
It's actually 170, sorry.
That's changed? Oh, the number's changed.
The numbers changed.
We are a gentle, angry people. Words will be up.
Oh, and I will actually say, Holly Near wrote this song after Harvey Milk was assassinated. And so one of the lines is, "We are gay and straight together." And once Donald Trump was elected and she was singing the song at a rally, she wanted to honor more gender diversity and sexual orientation diversity. And I think she should have added a verse or something. She said she couldn't get enough syllables into the line. So she changed that line to, "We are all in this together." So that's what we'll do today, and maybe we'll do something else next time. So the lyrics up here are the ones that we'll use for that 1 minute. So please rise in body or spirit. minister from the 1970s, Fred Gillis, said, "May the love that overcomes all differences, that heals all wounds, that puts to flight all fears, that reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always." So that sounds good. That sounds pretty amazing. That sounds wondrous. The love that overcomes all differences. I will take an extra helping of that, please. But tomorrow, our southern neighbor has the presidential inauguration. Soon there will be a Canadian election. Ceasefires come and go. Is there, in fact, a love that overcomes all differences? If we go beyond the poetry of those words, the beauty and the inspiration, is there a there? Is there a love that overcomes all differences? A friend of mine was once walking along a trail in the forest, and suddenly a wild beast comes out of the woods. I don't remember what species it was. He told me it was scary. I only remember the archetype. It's a wild beast. And it charged. It charged at my friend. So I wonder what he thought in that moment. Was he running through his options? Was he thinking of his checklist of different species and what you do with a bear versus... I don't know what he did, but what just happened was that he just stood there and had this moment of peace, simply making eye contact with this charging beast. And the message was, I am a gentle, loving person. I mean you no harm. And it worked. It worked. The beast stopped in its tracks, turned around, and ran off, as my friend tells it. You do that with Mr. Trump? Well, I would not rely on that method. It could happen. Yeah, it can happen. I wouldn't count on it. There is a love that overcomes some differences sometimes. But with Inauguration Day coming tomorrow, yeah, it might not be enough. But the other extreme is the belief that love doesn't work at all. So a couple of weeks ago, we explored what can happen to the human spirit when you bump up against the troubles of the world. Recall Anakin Skywalker deciding to overcome the world's problems by becoming all-powerful, and thus transforming into Darth Vader. So let's not give up on love, but let's not be Pollyannas about it. Let's get a better grasp of the extent of the power of love. So your 2-year-old is being a pain in the butt. You try disciplining, correcting, bribing. You try sharing your feelings. Maybe you get angry. Maybe you get a little too angry sometimes. Then you try enormous levels of patience and forgiveness and kindness, years and years of that. And does it work? Does it work? Maybe eventually. But with many nights collapsed on your knees, wondering if you can do it again the next day. Or your coworker with an attitude, or your grumpy neighbor, a family member, even a good friend after a fight. You try making cookies to make things right, and sometimes it works. There's this longing in the human spirit that love will find a way. If only I could get through to that person. Please find a way. It's like they're right there. They're just right there if we could just open hearts to each other. All it takes is all-powerful love just for a moment. Interfaith Harmony Halifax is coming up starting February 1st. Has anyone here participated in Interfaith Harmony Halifax? So, okay, so we got a number of people who've done it, and a number of people who might want to join me this year. It's gonna be awesome. It's a week of dialogue and an invitation among faith communities in town. Interfaith harmony is a lofty goal. It's challenging enough to have harmony within a religion, let alone between religions. A religion says, love your neighbor. And then it's adherents say, of course we all agree what it looks like to love your neighbor. right? And then they find they don't actually agree, and then they discover the limits of the power of love to work through their differences. Perhaps early religions were mostly about providing a clan or tribe with shared meaning and purpose. Religious belief and practice held the community together, but often by having a very narrow and local idea of God. And then as human population grew and settlements grew larger, a broader understanding was needed. So local gods gave way to a universal God. The importance of kinship ties, who you're related to, that gave way to a shared humanity. The message was, all are welcome in our religion as long as you believe in love. Okay, that's not actually how it goes. It's more like, all are welcome in our religion as long as you demonstrate fealty to 1,000 different things. You gotta say the right prayers, use the exact right wording, wear the right clothing accessories, hate the right out-group. So the power of love gets swamped by the power of idolatry, which is worshiping the idols of ritual, symbol, doctrine, shared culture. So religions always need to be doing this process of renewal, coming back to their essence, but then they schism because they disagree about how to do that. This year's Interfaith Harmony Week has the theme, Joining Hands in Turbulent Times. They say on the website, given the many tragic events around the world, directly or indirectly related to religious intolerance, misunderstanding, or ignorance, Interfaith Harmony Week offers a meaningful opportunity for mutual self-reflection, open-mindedness, respect, and understanding. It provides us all with the precious chance to sit, to breathe, to pray, to sing, even eat and celebrate with others. We can speak of how you invited me into your sacred space and I invite you into mine. We learn each other's names through the sound of each other's voice. We come to know each other through the warmth of understanding, peace, and friendship. So it's going to be an enriching, connecting week. I hope you'll join me for it. But they also say on the website, we affirm and appreciate that there can be harmony and strength through our diversity, and I love that. There can be harmony and strength through our diversity. It's not automatic, it takes work. The power of love does not guarantee success. The power of love can even make things worse, the righteous love that justifies awful behavior. The love of the mama bear to protect her cubs by attacking the stranger. The love that is proud of good intentions without concern for results. So there's a shadow side of love. Many people through the ages, but I'm thinking of the 19th and 20th centuries, who believed in loving your neighbor, who dreamed of a society organized around love, became disillusioned when they put their beliefs into practice. So when we organize society based on love, it can backfire. The shadow side of love can take over. Many of these people became political liberals in the sense of wanting a society where you live and let live. Just keep love out of the political realm. People could self-organize based on love, but politically they felt we should live and let live. Now, the liberal experiment is too big a topic for today. I have both good and bad things to say about it, so I'll simply say that if people don't build a national identity on love, they'll build a national identity based on something else. Perhaps something benign and fun like hockey and donuts. But perhaps something worse like selfishness or greatness. But if you do build a national identity based on love, you'll get disagreement about how to do that with the ferocity of religious war. So we have Canadians who in one election vote for a progressive platform. In the next election, they vote for a small L liberal platform. And in the next election, they vote for a small c conservative platform. And then they go back to the progressives. Every system, I imagine it's because every system creates its own problems. So a voter just cycles through several parties depending on the problems of the day. It's actually extraordinary how often people switch parties here. And you might do that in your personal life too. One year you're feeling the love that overcomes all differences. The next year you get burned by it, so you choose to live and let live. The year after that you enjoy creating traditions and routines with the people in your life. And then you're ready again for the love that overcomes all differences. In these times, it's easy to say that love is not a strong enough force to take on authoritarianism, misinformation, extreme rudeness, killer chatbots. Like, it is easy to justify gaining power by vilifying your opponents. Some of them really are villains. But treating people like villains creates its own problems. Viktor Frankl, when he was writing about literal Nazis, says, "Love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of their personality. No one can become aware of the essence of another human unless they love them. By love, they are enabled to see the essential traits and features in that person, and even more, they see that which is in potential in them, not yet actualized, but ought to be actualized. And by loving the person, it enables them to actualize their potential. But by making them aware of what they can be and what they should become, they make these potentialities come true. If you kiss the frog, it will turn into a prince. Beauty will transform the beast." Those are the fairy tales. Are they true? Is it true? Is that what we need in these times? Is that what we need to do? Religious traditions have many images of God. The countless Hindu gods, such as the creator God, the protector God, the wise one, the lover, the renewer, the playful one, the prosperous one, the strong one, the devoted one, the destroyer. Some have multiple of each. Images of God from the Hebrew Bible, such as the sun, the rock, the lion, the wind, the light, the fire. Every image of God is a belief in what is called for in this moment. Is there a love that overcomes all? If there was, one image of God would be enough, God as love. Or, another way to put it, there are many ways to love, so each of these gods could be thought of as a God of love. Viktor Frankl, who lived under the Nazis, summed up his worldview by saying, "Love is the ultimate and highest goal to which we can aspire. Not being right, not being in control, but love." And he also said, follow your conscience, get busy, not a passive love. If there's a bully in your class, you don't have to kiss the frog. If your neighbor is a jackass, you don't have to kiss the frog. If you knew it would work, if you knew that kissing Donald Trump, if you knew it would work, if you knew it would turn him into a gentle prince, maybe you should do it. Maybe you should do it. But the love that overcomes all differences doesn't necessarily work with one kiss. So no pressure to kiss the frog. But perhaps there's a way to love him from a distance, sending loving thoughts, perhaps. Who knows? Love is a powerful force. Maybe that will help. It often helps in my personal life when I do that. I think that this moment calls for one more point. Has anyone read the book The Earth Abides? It's from nobody. It's from the 1940s. They just made a TV show about it in Australia. But anyway, I read the book last year. It begins with a global pandemic that kills almost everybody. Like the main character, Ish, drives around the country looking for other people. Most of them just want to be left alone. So eventually he ends up in a coastal city and makes a life for himself. There's plenty of food because as long as he has can openers, because the grocery stores are still there. But otherwise, the life he's known is gone. One day someone arrives in town and they decide to trust each other. A year later, they've started a family. Decades later, their children's children have had children. They've welcomed many others to join them who have shown up. He tries to pass on his wisdom to the next generation, but he realized nobody is interested in the old ways. They just seem irrelevant. Nobody wants to learn how to read, even though there is a massive, awesome library right there. So he realizes that the best he can do is to teach the little ones how to use a bow and arrow, to catch food when the supplies run out. Let's give that a moment. So despite losing everything, despite failing to pass on most of his know-how, Ish dies a happy human because his life has meaning. Viktor Frankl said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, only by a lack of meaning and purpose." I don't know about never. Pain exists, but I think the point stands. Even if economic policies make us poorer, even if civic norms erode to new levels of disrespect, even if our hospital wait times get worse and more lives are lost, I have no doubt about the human spirit. The human spirit will survive. Frankl writes that suffering is similar to the behavior of a gas. If a certain quantity of gas is pumped into an empty chamber, it will fill the chamber completely and evenly, no matter how big the chamber. And thus suffering completely fills the human soul and conscious mind, no matter whether the suffering is great or little. There's too much suffering in the world. We could easily let it fill our souls. It can even be helpful to take on the suffering of the world. But I also believe that the love that overcomes all differences can fill us up and get us through the day. It's not either or. It's not the power of positive thinking smothering your real feelings. You can do both. You can handle what's really going on in the world if you let yourself feel the love that overcomes all. When you feel that, you won't want to keep it to yourself. So please rise in body and spirit for our closing hymn. It's number 1028 in the Teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. And the words are up on the screen. So please rise in body or spirit. extinguish, I love that song so much. Gets me. It is time now to extinguish our chalice. May we carry with us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitments, and the light of truth. So as you follow your conscience in these times, may your heart be filled with love for everybody, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. The Humanist group is starting in 20 minutes in here. Open mic night is this Wednesday night, and right now there is coffee through the back doors in the ballroom. Our service. Open mic night is Wednesday night. Yeah, and there's a calendar of events just outside the sanctuary door. Our service is over. Pickup choir is going to practice right now, right here.